to yet another episode of Cat Calls. I am Kat, and this is my show that I do most Thursdays here at twitch.tv/KATBEIN. And I am so happy to be here and so happy that Carlo Barlow is hitting that like button and subscribing. That is exactly what you're supposed to do. Yes, indeed. And I need everyone to do one more thing for me. I need everyone to give a big round of applause to today's guest, the Rilla, the Thrilla, the fucking one and only Manila Killa. Everybody, give it up. Woo! Yes, and also we did have some real legit applause in the background there. And I hope that you also are applauding the fact that I did indeed bake a phone to make this show. But most importantly, we are bringing Manila Killa on the program. I've actually known Chris for some years. I've watched his career unfold from his time alongside his buddy Asim in Hotel Garuda through to stepping out on his own with the 1993 EP and now the release of his debut album, Dusk. We were listening to a bit of it, watched the entire visualizer. He made an entire visualizer for the entire album on YouTube. And it's worth exploring because the album brings in every varied influence of his artistic journey, tapping into both his creative roots and his mature future. It's ravey, it's housey, it's melodic, it's got drum and bass. And he's on a break right now from his US tour in support of the album, and I'm so excited to have this hour to sit down with him proper and hear all about how his experience on the road has been so far, how it feels to finally release your debut album after nearly a decade in the works as a professional producer and DJ. But before he comes on the line, we're gonna listen to the album's title track, Dusk, featuring Lights, who, if you're a Deadmau5 fan, Torden Strike, you might recognize Lights. Hop into this tune, enjoy the visualizer, and get your questions ready, because when we come back, we will have Manila Killa on the line. And this is your show as much as it is my show. I brought some questions, but I need you to bring some questions too. That's what makes this whole thing a party, so.
Got me in a free fall, give it all, can't get enough of it. When you tell me you love me now, you're only making me lonelier. Tell me I wish I could be around, isn't really holding me over.
Okay, we're here. The mic is on, I do believe. But my regular mic is not working. You know what? It doesn't matter. As long as everyone out there can hear me and can hear Manila Killa right now, then that's really all that matters.
Yeah, we're all good now, I think. Hopefully.
That's so funny. Well, and hopefully also it sounds good with my computer mic. But you know what? If there was anyone who was going to be here for me to have an absolute goof moment, I'm glad that it's you, sir. I'm glad that it's you. I feel like I can be myself in front of you because we've actually hung out in person. We've actually played Mario Kart. We've been people. So it's a pleasure to have you here on the actual program.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
I know, and I'm catching you during a nice special moment of downtime while you're in the middle of your epic debut album tour. How has that been for you so far? How does it feel to just be home? Are you really able to kind of take it all in and reflect on what the fuck's been going on in your life?
Yeah, actually, I have been, which is really nice. Touring has just been kind of crazy lately because we have a small crew, so it's been pretty tough, but I'm so thankful that I can just come home during the week and just decompress. It's kind of tough to get back into my routine and all that, but it's just nice to just chill.
I totally feel that. So as everyone is fully aware, because everyone could hear me talking to my friends in the kitchen while I thought I was off mic. Okay, and we are hearing us. Thank you, Carlo Barlow, I'm fully traumatized, as I said, now that I'm who knows what's happening. I've been talking to my friend who's visiting about that exact feeling. It's great to travel and see people and have experiences, but it's so weird when you're just living out. You can never just get in the zone. So I hope that you're, able to at least tap into a little bit of comfort and zone until you go back out there.
A little bit, just a tiny bit. It's kind of tough though, because the emotions that you feel on tour, one night you have 1,000 people looking at you, and then the next day I'm feeding my cat and doing my dishes. It's just it's who am I? Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Who is is the real Manila, the real
Yeah.
Chris at the end of the day, you know? Like,
Yeah.
that's so
Exactly.
real. I can't say that I actually relate to that particular experience of having 1,000 people in front of you singing your songs back at you, like connecting with your art in such a real way. But I do kind of understand now that weird, like, oh, I had so much like energy and now it's kind of gone. Because when I was making this Portola vlog that I just made, I was like almost manic on the like creation of it, and then it was done and it was out, and then I was like, what? Like, wait, now
Yeah,
I'm just like
like-
sitting on my couch, like, and it
Yeah.
gives me a new perspective on what people such as yourself are feeling and dealing with all the time. Like,
Yeah.
yo. And
Yeah,
you
tough.
and you making your there's so many things that I want to ask you. So before I really dive into, okay, you know what? Let me pause. Let me take a moment. Let's start at the beginning. This is, I've known you for quite a while, but we haven't really had much time to have interviewer or interviewee sit in the chair and let me ask you a million questions. So, since this is our opportunity to really dig deep, I want to hear about what makes you Manila Killa. You were born in the Philippines, but you moved a lot growing up. It's not like you just spent your childhood in Manila. But what do you remember about your childhood in Manila, and why is that something that's so meaningful to you that you literally take that with you on stage and make that who you are as an artist?
Yeah. Well, I was actually born in Washington, D.C.
Okay,
but-
well, shit. I already got my facts wrong.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Everyone like just assumes it's totally fine. But yeah, so I was born in DC. I moved to the Philippines like when I was 2, and from there on, like ever since I could remember, I do remember just like airplanes, just like going back and forth all the
Yeah.
time. And I think like something that kind of stuck with me was music. Honestly, that sort of like gave me comfort no matter where I was in the world. I remember hearing like Daft Punk's "One More Time" like in first grade.
My literal favorite song of all time.
Yeah, no, me too. I think it has to be. Yeah, like I heard that for the very first time in first grade in the Philippines, seeing the music video, and I was just like,
Yes.
I was like awestruck. I was like, it's like it's not really like music with like guitars and stuff, but like, I mean they sampled guitars and stuff like that, which was like really cool, but it was like different, right? And unfortunately, like my parents weren't like super like musical, so the extent of what I'd listened to when I was younger in my childhood was like smooth jazz and like
Nice.
Yo-Yo
Hey, there's a
Ma.
little bit of smooth jazz in some of Discovery. There are
Oh, no.
touches of smooth jazz.
Yeah, no, I mean I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Now I love it. Yeah, like listening to like classical music, like just stuff that I wasn't like really into, but luckily, the radio existed, and I just listened to the radio like up until I don't know, like 7th, 8th grade, and then I kind of at the time I was living in Indonesia, and there's like a big like punk rock scene there, so I was kind of like listening to like
Sick.
Taking Back Sunday and like Avenged Sevenfold and all those guys.
Wow.
And then eventually where I like sort of rediscovered electronic music, and this is the reason why I'm like called Manila Killa in the first place, was I moved back to the Philippines for like my freshman year of high school, and people were introducing me to like Justice and Mastercraft, like all the Ed Banger crew, like all those guys. Yeah, Mr. Rizzo. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All my
And then
jams.
that kind of like got me back into electronic music, and I was just like, it was sort of like a whole new world for me.
Yeah.
Because like I was before that I was like listening to a lot of like rock and pop and top 40, just whatever was on the radio, but like to understand like the underground scene was like so cool to me.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason why like my name is Manila Killa, is because I wanted to pay tribute to the city that I rediscovered electronic music in.
Love that. I love
Yeah.
that. So many
Yeah.
things here that are interesting. First of all, I had no idea that there was a like thriving punk rock scene in Indonesia. Like, did
Yeah.
you get to go to shows, and were there a lot of local bands too? Like, what was that like?
No, there were tons of local bands, but like, I was honestly pretty sheltered growing up. I wasn't even allowed to go to like the Rihanna concert my freshman year in high school. Like I
Oh
wasn't allowed to
no!
do
Was there a
anything.
reason why? Was it just because your parents didn't want you like going out and getting into trouble, or was it because
Yeah,
Rihanna is like a bad influence?
I mean, I remember them saying like, if you go to this concert and there's an emergency, you're gonna get trampled. Because I was like a tiny kid, and I was just like so frustrated. Like I got on Facebook, I updated my status. I was
Yes.
like, oh, my parents aren't letting me go to the concert. Like, you know, all that.
Back in the day when it's like when it would have said like Chris is, and then you're just like
Yeah.
so mad at my mom and dad for not letting me go see
So
Rihanna.
Yeah, exactly. So like, yeah, I wasn't able to like experience music in a live setting like really up until, I mean, my first like actual electronic show was seeing Dead Mouse at the 930 Club
We
in
were
Washington D.C.
Just talking about seeing Dead Mouse. Oh shit.
really? Yeah.
Wow, what kind of era of Dead Mouse was that? Was it like was
Right
he
before
yet
the
doing
Cube.
Cube? Okay, yeah.
For the Cube. So
Nice.
I got to see him like before that. It was like I think I was like 16. It was a Monday night. I dragged my brother and my dad along with me because there was no way I was gonna be able to go alone. And luckily, it was an all ages show. So
I just want to
You
hear
know.
this correctly. You brought your
Yeah.
dad with you to see Dead
I
Mouse.
brought- yeah.
Dad Mouse.
Dead Mouse vibes. He
What
loved
did
it,
you?
honestly.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what was your dad's review of Dead Mouse?
Yeah. He was like fist pumping. He was doing everything. It was really cool. And like I'm just glad that he was like down to take me and my brother, just because like otherwise we wouldn't have been able to.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah.
Torton Strike saying, fuck yeah, Q-Bear, Dead Mouse. Also, hello, Rap, hee hee, 666. That's a very, I love how you have like a very violent name with a hee hee thrown in there in the middle. Just shouting people out. I brought my dad once to a Cruella concert in
Oh,
Miami,
cool.
and I was doing a review of the show, and so I just made that like the theme of the review. I was like, my dad's take on EDM and Cruella, and he loved it too. I mean, it's hard not to love the energy in the room when you're at an electronic music show. Like, it's just something so unique, and I'm not shocked that you came from this like punk kind of hardcore emo into all that Bloghouse, Justice, Ed Banger stuff, because I was kind of coming at it from the same place. Like, I listened to a lot of punk music and post-punk, and then what I loved about Justice and all those bands was that it sounded like they were capturing that like hard rock energy, and then that like mixed with the dance music, like I don't know, it's all love and like everyone's
Yeah.
happy and dancing. Like, what's better than that? That's
Right? Yeah, it was kind of like combining like two worlds, and I think that's what like was so cool to me, and I think that's what got me into it as well, is
Yeah.
because like it's not just like the nitty gritty of like the rock music, but there's also like an emotional aspect to it too.
Totally.
So,
And you know, we're still on our journey to get to Dusk, but I think Dusk shows that part of you, that you appreciate like that variety, the spectrum of what this music can be, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot going on, but so you reconnected with dance music while you were living in Manila in your freshman year of high school. Is that when you started experimenting with making electronic music? When did you take your love from I want to listen to it to I want to figure out how these sounds are being made?
Yeah, it actually was like around the same time. My school had like a battle of the bands thing, and you know, everyone's like, you know, playing in a band, all that. That's really cool. And then there was like, I was a freshman, and there was a sophomore guy came up on stage. He was like the only one on stage. He had a laptop
Oh
up,
shit.
and then just started playing the track, and then started singing in auto-tune. And I was like asking my friends, I was like, how did he get these songs? And then I learned that he had made them himself.
Oh shit.
And I was like, yo, like if this dude can like make all of this on a laptop, like why can't I, right? So I like immediately downloaded like FL Studio.
Yes,
I was
the classic.
the classic, just making really trash music. Like I was like recreating like what's his name? Bass Hunter's music from like way back when, like recreating like the Super Mario Brothers theme song and like adding my own drums and just like really having fun with it. And then it was kind of like a rabbit hole from there. Like I just became obsessed. Like at the time I was playing basketball, I was like break dancing a little bit too. Like I was
Ooh.
drawing, I was very like creative, but once I realized that I can make my own music, I like dropped everything and I just like got super into it.
Yeah, that's sick. I know all your basketball friends are like, "What the fuck, man?" Like, we're trying to play. Oh, Brett Blackman has officially entered the chat. We have to shout out Brett.
Yeah.
Brett's the man. He
Hello,
already
Brett.
knows this whole story. He's just gonna
Yeah.
keep here. Brett, if you have any deep cuts, any good leads on embarrassing stories I should ask Manila Killa to share, you let me know.
Yes, please. Tear into me. I'm down.
So, did you graduate high school in Manila, or did you head back over to the States and get back to DC before you graduated?
So yeah, no, I graduated in the Philippines. I spent 1 year in high school here in the States at a Catholic school in Virginia, and I
All
absolutely
right.
hated it.
Yeah.
Like,
For a second,
yeah,
I thought you were gonna be like, "I loved it." And I was gonna be like,
No.
"Do tell."
No, I had like a miserable time there. It was just like, I at that point, like at Catholic schools in the States, like everyone kind of has their own clique. I felt like I couldn't really fit in, but it was a blessing in disguise because I spent a lot of time learning how to produce music.
Yeah.
And that's like all I really wanted to do anyways.
Yeah.
So when I got back to the Philippines for my senior year of high school, I was stoked because I got to be back with like my actual friends and like that's when like you're getting a little older with throwing some parties. I was like, let me DJ. Let me DJ it. So I was just like, I was so down to DJ like every house party. Like I was DJing like high school dances and stuff. Like just like any chance that I could play loud music on speakers, I went for it.
Yo, that's actually a great way to cut your teeth as a DJ. I mean, like, on the one hand, the crowd is, well, you can tell me if I'm wrong. Is the crowd more forgiving if it's just like a house party among a bunch of teenagers?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, especially like if you're not an artist, like there aren't really expectations. They just want you to play the hits. And like
Yes,
at that time, like I love top 40 music, and that's when like David Guetta and like those guys started bubbling, or like even will.i.am, like they started introducing dance music to the masses.
Totally.
So I was like, well, I love dance music. I also love pop music. This is the perfect opportunity for me to like show my friends that like, hey, this new music is gonna be like huge. I was telling people like dance music is really big, but then people were like, it's weird, it sounds robotic. Like no one really fucked with it as much as like I did in high school. So I was like, just wait.
Yo, that's so real too. Like I feel like I'm always kind of like telling that to younger generations of dance music lovers, right? I'm like, this shit was like not cool. like even like being, like you said, into Daft Punk when One More Time came out was like that song was big, but it wasn't like all the cool kids are listening to Daft Punk, man. And like now everyone's like, oh, Daft Punk, they're such like legends. Like everyone loves Daft Punk, but it's like there was like a different moment, and like dance music had to earn its fucking place. Here in the States, it's interesting to hear that it was that way while you were in the Philippines as well and other parts.
Yeah, but there were kids like really into like Daft Punk and stuff too. Like I remember like my friend wore a Live t-shirt to school, and I was like how did you get that? His friend went to Japan and saw the Daft Punk's Tokyo show for Live 2007 and brought back merch. And I was like, that's so fucking sick. So there were people like in my high school.
Cool motherfuckers who knew what was up. Like, damn. Could you imagine? Now, I actually was fortunate enough to see Daft Punk on that tour, but I am jealous of that kid for getting to go to the Tokyo show. Like, that sounds insane. Like, you see the crazy lights and then you walk down the street and you still see crazy lights. Like, that sounds tight.
What an experience.
Oh, amazing. When you did finally start getting to go out to shows, what besides your cherry poppin' dad mouse experience really kind of stuck with you, and like, because it's interesting to come at this music and have such a love for it and be making it and be like, DJing every prom and house party that you can, and then get thrust into the reality of like a club setting and one of these shows. Like, so what other shows followed up with that just like kept you, I gotta be a part of this, like everything I can do to just like keep doing this?
Yeah, so it was like the summer before I started college. I had like literally just moved back to the States, and there was this festival. I'm blanking on the name, but it was a touring festival, and like I think Cascade had headlined.
Oh, I kind
The
of
VQ
remember this
played
one you're
it,
talking
You
about.
Guys With Me,
Yeah. Anyone in the
Never
chat,
played
do you
it.
remember the name of this tour? It was a touring dance music festival. I remember it would also come to South Florida, and it would have some pretty stacked Identity Fest. Identity Fest.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's
Thanks,
it.
Jordan
Everyone
Strait.
knows.
Yeah.
Everyone knows who it is.
Brett's, yeah, Brett, were you at Identity too?
Yeah, so like I got to go to that with a couple friends, and who else? That I saw Roscoe there. I saw Steve Aoki there.
So
I actually
good.
saw Cruella there. It might have been Cruella. No, Nervo. It was Nervo actually.
Sick. Yeah.
Yes, and I saw like before the festival happened, they were hosting this like opener DJ slot, and I was like signing up for it because like I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
But then like the one like stipulation was like you have to use CDJs, and at the time I had no idea how to use CDJs, so I was like, you know what, forget it.
Yeah.
Never mind.
You're like, this is not the moment to learn when I'm like on
Yeah.
stage opening for Nervo. Like.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, like I went to that festival, and I was like extremely hooked at that point. Like
Yeah.
I went to my first like couple years of college was spent in Southern Virginia, so there weren't really many things at all, but I luckily got to see Alesso in North Carolina. Like I was also like doing press stuff too. Like I was just trying to find any way I could get into the music industry. So when I went to see Alesso, I interviewed the opener and I shot photos. So
Oh
I
my
did the whole,
God.
like,
You were a
I
little
did the whole
me.
vlog thing. Yeah, literally. Just like anything I could take to like be involved. Like I was just like really hungry. And then eventually like I was able to play like a couple like, I don't know, like top 40 club opening sets,
Yeah.
you know, for 10 people at like 9 p.m. But like I still found that like the sickest thing ever. So like from there on, I just kept trying to find opportunities where I could.
Oh my God, I love it. I see that some people are dropping some questions in the chat. I'm gonna ask, or unless, are you looking at the chat? Do you want to talk about Rise into the Clouds or address any of these things? I don't know if you were playing World of Warcraft or if someone else was playing World of Warcraft. Were you big into World of Warcraft?
Oh, so like yeah, I think my brother's actually Carlo Barlow. So
Oh, I see. Carlo Barlow knows what's up. Carlo
Yeah,
Barlow's gonna come through with the embarrassing stories.
Yeah, maybe, probably. But yeah, we were playing like World of Warcraft back in the Philippines. It was a problem. I was like turning my friends down to hang out so that I could just stay in and play World of Warcraft.
Oh,
It was
hell
bad.
yeah. No, you want to hear bad. This is a true story about my college experience. Well, a friend of mine was like so sucked into World of Warcraft that he essentially got kicked out of college. He was one of those kids who like just spent all day on World of Warcraft. And you know what? His life turned out to be amazing. He left university, ended up going into nursing school, is married, is like a boss. So it's got a happy ending. But I remember when it happened, I was just like, dude, like, you need to get off the computer. I played that game because he was so into it. I gave it a try. I think I sat down, I created an account, I played it for like 12 hours straight, and then I was just like, nope.
Yeah.
I gotta walk away.
It could get really bad really quickly.
Amazing. Well, I'm glad that you were able to let music win as opposed
Yeah, I mean,
to...
well, I don't remember what happened, but like I think it was like one of my parents like recognized the issue, so they were like, "You can't play this anymore," and I was like, "Okay, fine." So
you were
Yeah,
lucky
so
you were still under the parents' watchful eye. So
Yeah,
if my
exactly.
friends' parents
Otherwise-
were only there.
Yeah.
Incredible. So when did you get to the moving castle period of your life? I feel like that's where I start to know you. That's where like the world building that has happened around Manila Killa, the project, and your SoundCloud days like really starts to go deep. So how did you get connected with people such as Asim and Brett and the Moving Castle family?
Yeah, so I actually had known Brett since like my blogging days. So that's
Aha.
when we met. We worked for the same blog, and then he was like, "Let me manage you," and I was like, "No," because I had like a traumatic experience with my last manager. So I was like,
Interesting.
"No,
So
I'm
you'd
not
you'd
managing."
already had a manager.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, but it wasn't like, it wasn't like he wasn't an actual like manager. I think
Right.
he was like also interested in the music industry, and like I think we were like learning along the way, but
Totally.
like it just wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I had known Brett since then. I had known Asim since middle school because we went to the same middle school in Indonesia.
Oh, sick. Okay, I think I did know that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
So that's how we know each other. But like the beginning of like the SoundCloud days and the Moving Castle days started because I transferred schools up to Northern Virginia.
You are just a
And
man constantly on the move. Holy
always
shit.
on the
Like,
move.
my God.
Yeah, always. So yeah, when I had moved up to DC, like the DC area, I again was trying to reach out to people, seeing what was good with the scene. And like one of my old high school friends from Manila actually had known AO Beats through an internship program at Columbia University in New York. And
Wow.
so my friend hit me up. He was like, "Hey, like my friend AO lives in Boston. He makes music. Like you guys should like chat." So we started talking, and then I found myself in a finance internship in New York, and AO Beats was also in New York for some internship. We like met up, made a bunch of music, and then we stayed in touch since then. And that was like my junior year of college. And then we met, AO knew RoboKid, who was also part of the, starting of the Moving Castle. And so we all just like kind of kept in contact, and then we all decided to just like band together to release music together, because we were like, we don't see like a community, we don't really feel like there is a community, so why don't we just build one? And so Brett got involved, and then more and more we started like digging deep on SoundCloud, listening to I don't know, people like Chrome Sparks and all those who else, like Shlomo, like
Oh,
Smash.
yeah. Good
Like,
shit.
we were so-
Good
yeah, we were
era.
so-
Just the whole, yeah.
golden era for
Just
sure.
saying those names like takes me to a place, like,
Yeah, so like that's kind of how it started. It was super organic. We
Yeah.
weren't really trying to force anything. We were just like, hey, like we have our, we have a designer, we all make music. Let's just like try to put a compilation together.
Yeah.
And then after the first compilation came out, it was just kind of crazy from there. It was nonstop. Like everyone was like talking about us. Like I got signed to an agency, which was AIM only back then. And
That's
then
so
it was-
crazy.
it was like a snowball effect of
Yeah.
it, essentially. Yeah.
That's such a smart way to think about it, I think. Like, building a community, getting like minds together, and just being able to support each other, that makes all the difference, I think. Like, it's one thing when you're just out here like screaming into the void, trying to like, because then that's support, like you've got somebody who's like down to have your back and you have theirs. And then when things do start to kind of take off and you've got agents calling you and people who want to be your manager and all these things, like you're also not going through that alone.
Yeah.
That seems
it was
like
yeah, I definitely like owe a lot of my like career to that support system back then, because it was just like a bunch of guys who just like wanted to do cool shit.
That's my favorite type of guys. That's exactly what I like to see in the world.
Yeah.
So you were also for a time with Asim in the Hotel Garuda project, and I was actually honored to be there at Electric Forest when y'all played your like final collaborative Hotel Garuda set, and that was a really big moment for you because I think that decision was made because both of you were feeling like, okay, we want to really step into who we are as producers and like where we see our artistic vision going. And you have been on this beautiful journey since that moment. I'm sure since before, right? Like it doesn't just like all start at a certain time, but like it's cool for me that I got to watch you be like, all right, here I go. Manila Killa, 1,000%, like all systems go. And the first step in that journey was your debut EP, 1993. I would love to hear what 1993, what you learned from that process, that stuck with you and informed your debut album, Dusk, which is now, of course, what we're celebrating. And also to just hear about that decision and like how you kind of knew that it was time for the next stage of what you were doing as an artist.
Yeah. It actually came from like a couple things. I think the biggest like elephant in the room when I started to think about going solo was that it was tough with touring because like I couldn't be in two places in one time. And
man,
so,
if anyone could, it would be you. But if even you can't do it, then I don't know.
Yeah, I wish. But yeah, there was a moment in time where like, as Manila Killa, I was like losing opportunities that I honestly like really would have loved to do because I was like on tour with this team. And it sucked because like I love working with a team. I love touring with a team. Like to be able to tour with like one of your best friends is like touring is just like fun. It's just like a sleepover like every night. But it's different like as a solo artist, you know, like it's just like a lot more quiet, you know, you're a lot more to yourself. But yeah, that was like the biggest thing. And like in addition to that, like I did want to like, I felt like I needed to catch up with Manila Killa. Like I felt like I had no time to like think about what I truly like wanted to make as a musician. Yeah. Because like when you're in a collaborative project, there's always going to be compromises, you know, whether you want it or not. And I wanted an opportunity to do everything like myself. So that's kind of what kickstarted like the idea of the 1993 EP was that, and that's the reason why I called it that, is because like it's truly like who I am. Yeah. And like what I learned with that is that, you know, making a project like an EP or an album is tough.
Yeah. It's tough. And that's not no like skimpy little 3-track. That's like 7 tracks, right? Yeah, like 7 tracks, and they also themselves are exploring a variety. It's definitely like, I feel it's like pretty bright and upbeat, but like you're doing a lot there, so yeah. I mean, like I do owe like my music taste to back when I was younger, like hearing the rock music, the pop music, the top 40, the electronic music. Like that's just like who I am. I love a lot of different kinds of music, so that's what my I guess like goal was with the 1993 EP, was to showcase, you know, like a bunch of different kinds of sounds, a bunch of different kinds of genres. And like I realize now that I did kind of do that with the album as well. I guess I can't escape it ever. I just love making like everything. You also love being I don't know, it's who you are. You're just a man of constant like inputs, you know? Like I can't imagine what it would be like to have just lived in so many different countries, and you're obviously not afraid of change, which is a strength.
That's all I know, honestly. Yeah. Like, I don't know what it's like to just like stick and stay in one place. And I guess that's reflective of my music too, is that like you can tell that I'm not really just like a one trick pony, I guess.
No, for sure.
So that was like, it was a big learning experience. I feel like that's all I have to say.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I think also that ability to explore so many different sides of yourself also must come in handy when it's showtime, because you're not just sitting there with like one mood to play. You're able to bring a lot of different vibes and fit in with a lot of different crews. Like you can be on stage with a lot of different artists and hit that mark and speak to the crowd and like fit right in. And Joey says some of us ponies don't even have one trick, so you know you're already doing.
No, that's not true. Everyone has one trick. Maybe you just haven't found it yet.
That's true. Know? That's true. I remember being a kid and feeling like, man, everyone has their like hidden talent, and I don't have a hidden talent. And you remember some people's hidden talent was like, I'm double jointed, and it was like, that's weird. Like then I like got to like 6th or 7th grade English class, and I just was like, wait a second, I just inherently know every grammar rule. I have a hidden talent. I know where the comma goes.
Oh man, you should have tutored me because I was not that good back then.
I would have had your back. I would have had your back for sure. Listen, I'm still quite good. Semicolons, the whole thing. I mean, now it's my job. I have to. So Wrath 666 wants to chalk drum and bass. Okay. Yeah, you fucking dropped that drum and bass. I was playing Take Me Higher before the show started too. That was a bit, correct me if I'm wrong, that track in particular was inspired by a night out at DNBNL. Is that correct?
No. It was inspired by me looking at my phone, watching stories of DMV.
Oh shit! Yo, I was inspired by those stories too. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly. But I think it like even goes further than that. Like during the pandemic, I was living in a house of producers, and then
Nice.
Robbie from Lisa Child was one of my roommates.
also dope
And-
dude.
Yeah, great guy, great guy. He sat us all down and he was like, "We need to watch this drum and bass documentary on YouTube."
Wait,
Like
do you remember the name of it?
I don't, not off the top of my head, but it must be just like there can't be that many.
Right, yeah. We'll find it. We'll find it.
Yeah, we'll find it. So yeah, like he sat us down and I got to like understand the true history of like drum and bass, not like the flashy like EDM style, but like, you know, like Liquid D&B and like Goldie was one of them, like just all those guys, like the true drum and bass like style. And so that piqued my interest a little bit. We were sharing tracks between each other for a couple of months, and then I saw that Brownies and Lemonade hosted their DMBL. It was the very first one.
Yeah.
And the crowd reaction was like so sick. And I was like, wait, this is like America. Like, is this actually going to be a thing?
Right?
Yeah.
Yo, drum and bass heads, every drum and bass head's favorite sentence is, "It's coming back this year. It's coming back."
This year's the
This
year.
is it, man. Like, it's
Every
been
day,
like
every
it,
year.
man, for like 10 years, I'm pretty sure. Here in
Yeah.
South Florida, we have like a really strong connection to drum and bass and breakbeat and stuff like that too. So when I first started going out to raves, that was like a big sound for sure. So I've always had like oh my God, wait, I love drum and bass.
It's
and
actually coming back now too.
it
for
is,
sure.
it is. It's coming back. See, now you're one of them. Now you're one of them. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Oh, and Myriad of Miriam says there's an awesome podcast episode of 20,000 Hertz about the Amen break that is fascinating. We should all go back at the Amen break, of course, being the holiest of breaks.
Breaks?
Yeah. Being the break. Amen.
Amen. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
for real.
Wait, I'd love to hear more about this this producer house that you were living in during the pandemic. How was it? I'm sure that must have been a blessing to just be around other creatives and friends.
I will say it was great and also kind of iffy at some points for sure.
Listen, COVID, that's COVID. Right?
Yeah, it's COVID. Let me get into it for like a second.
Yeah, do
if
it.
They don't mind, whatever. I don't care what they think.
Talk your shit again. This is
I'm gonna talk my shit. Yeah, so we all moved into the house pre-pandemic. It was fucking lit. Like we were all super inspired. It was incredible. Like you could feel the creative energy. Like
wow.
every day you can hear music blasting through the walls, and we were just like, "Fuck yeah, this is everything we wanted."
Yeah.
Pandemic hits, and then we're all just like,
wait, I'm stuck in this house with you.
Yeah, so like the first month of the pandemic was like sick because we were like, oh, we're all home. Let's just make food every day. Let's party every weekend. Like Robbie had CDJs like downstairs. We had good speakers. So we were just partying like every weekend. But eventually, you know, it was like a couple months into the pandemic. Everyone was just like, this is never going to end. I felt that way.
It got so dark, man. Like, yeah.
It got super dark. It got super dark. Yeah, and then like the first time like one of us got COVID, we were losing our shit.
No, yeah.
Yeah, because like some of us had like our partners just move in with us.
Of course,
essentially.
yeah. But
So
then
they were
then
like-
you've got your pod by itself is just like getting
Yeah.
pretty swole, you know? Like
Yeah, exactly. So like eventually it felt like, I don't know, cabin fever like took a nap.
Totally.
Like I couldn't really feel creative. At the time I was starting to work on the album.
Yeah.
And it was honestly like really tough. Like
Yeah.
I felt like making music in the same space every single day, it just gets really monotonous. And like knowing me, like I love to travel, I love to experience new things, I like to talk to people. Like it was really hard to like get it going.
Totally.
So,
and was that what's the longest you've ever stayed in one place? I'm just curious. I'm sure it was a few years. Obviously, when you were a kid, you must have stayed a few years in wherever you were living.
2 years was the longest I had ever stayed.
Yeah.
At a school. Like 2 years, that was it.
That's so wild. I mean, it's sick though, because it makes you who you are, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But I like in college, I was like at home, but I was like also playing shows and
Yeah.
you know, at school, so like I wouldn't really count that as staying in one place.
Yeah.
And then eventually moved out to LA like in 2019.
Nice. And you've been in LA since. You're still in LA.
Yeah, but I
Long
moved down to
Beach.
Long Beach.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I
Right.
moved down to Long Beach last year, so I've been here for a little over a year,
Nice.
and I love it here. It's chill. It's
Oh,
like the
yeah.
space I need. You
Good.
know?
Good.
Like I love my friends in LA. Like LA's great, but I need my space.
It's it's funny because I've never actually lived in LA. I've visited a number of times, but I'm still such a tourist when I'm there, and people will be like, I think especially being adjacent to the music industry and knowing so many people in the music industry, like people when you're in LA almost just like don't even understand that you don't know LA. They're just like, oh, I'm at such and such, and I'm like, okay, like where the fuck is that? Like,
I'm still the same way. Like I have not explored LA as much as I should have.
right?
Like,
Well, you were
I don't
stuck
know.
inside for like half the
Yeah.
time you've even been there.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm glad you kind of mentioned that that's when you started to work on Dusk, because I'd love to hear when you realized you were making an album. Like, was that the intention when you sat down, or is it something that you realized as these songs were starting to come together?
No, I definitely had the intention of making an album.
Nice.
It actually started like right before the pandemic. I took a trip out to Joshua Tree with my girlfriend.
Hey,
And-
a very inspiring place.
Yes, super inspiring. And there was like one moment when we were sitting outside at nighttime where honestly it felt like we were in a big dome, and like we saw like a shooting star or whatever, a meteor,
Yeah.
And it was like such a beautiful, like magical moment. We were listening to the 1975 at the time.
Nice.
And I was like,
Set the scene.
in my head, I was like, I want everyone to feel what I'm feeling right now. And that was kind of the starting point of the album. And so I had that mindset when I started working on it, but the pandemic like made it super difficult
Yeah.
to kind of come up with like a body of work that was cohesive.
Mhm.
But luckily throughout the pandemic, I was able to get a couple songs in, but all of it really truly started wrapping up beautifully together, like honestly like December of last year for some reason.
Nice.
I don't know why, but I've had this conversation with some other artists where they're working on a project and it's due in a year. I got so much time, like I'm
Oh,
just gonna
shit.
slowly,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
slowly
the
gonna
great
work on
lie that creators
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
themselves.
Yeah, and then like 3 months before the turn-in date, for some reason, I think it's something about procrastinating and something about like performing under pressure, but everything seems to like kind of tie in together. And so I had a very similar experience with that. Like I had like half the album done in like October, November. And then I just spent like the next 2 months just like in this room, just working on a bunch of stuff. I was scrapping songs. I was adding songs. I mean, Brett can talk about it a little bit, but like I wouldn't be surprised if I gave him a hard time because like
I'm
one
sure.
day I'd be like, yo, this song is sick. I want this on the album. And then like a week later, I'm like, you know what? No. We need something else. So yeah, it was a crazy hectic time, but like, yeah, also clearing records was also a really difficult thing
Yeah.
because I did want a lot of features. I wanted to showcase my taste in music.
Yeah.
And that's why I recruited like Lights, for example. I had been listening to her for a very long time as well. Like I remember seeing her open for Owl City when I was in high school.
Oh, throwback.
Yeah,
Yes.
like super throwback. Like so ever since then I've always wanted her on track, and like this album I was like, this might be the perfect time to do it.
So I love it. And the title track of the album.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, it's always a big deal when the author says the name of the book in the story.
Yeah.
So like
It's
same
like,
thing.
whoa,
Like, yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
It's cool. I loved hearing the story about kind of like the inspiration and sitting in Joshua Tree, but that's fully night. So the name Dusk, what made you land on that as a title? Was it because the song was already named that and you felt really good about the song, or does it have a deeper meaning for you?
So it was like it all came together like really nicely because I already knew I wanted the album to be called Dusk, and the reason why is because dusk represents change, and the pandemic was a huge change for
Yeah.
me. Like personally, I think I really matured and I really grew into myself, and I was really confident in what I like and what I don't like. I was really confident in protecting my energy in my own space, and just kind of like looking out for myself for the first time in a really long time, because years prior to that, I was always on tour. I felt like I was always just like giving myself to the world, you know, like every show offer I got, I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Like, I couldn't really think for myself, really. So yeah, Dusk really represents change. And the reason why I decided to call that particular song Dusk is because I had a live stream over the pandemic called Dusk Lights.
Yes.
So my girlfriend actually came up. My girlfriend was like, you know what you should call it? Dusk featuring lights. So it's a play on the live stream, you know, like all that. And then the coolest thing about that song too, which also the reason why it makes sense to call it that, is her opening lyrics are, the sun goes down over the city. And she didn't know that I named my album Dusk, so I was like, you know,
goosebumps when you get it. Like, that's so rad.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, this is perfect. So that's how that happened.
I hear you. I totally get what you mean by like, all of a sudden everything just keeps falling into place. Like, you're just like, oh shit, the puzzle's coming together. This is what it's gonna be. That's so cool. I love that use of the title Dusk, and I like that you chose Dusk, the moment, because like it could be Dawn as well, right? Like, it's your debut album. That's kind of insinuating the start of something, but Dusk feels more appropriate because Dusk kind of brings on the quiet moment. And while your album is not the quiet moment as a whole vibe, like, it is about looking inward and reflecting on that. And I think that's a very quiet moment activity to do. And you were creating it in this space of like, okay, I'm off the road finally for once in my life. And kudos to you for learning that lesson of making space for yourself. And like, that's a lesson that I'm learning. I'm actively learning that. So that's awesome that you were able to like get that message while you were inside too.
Yeah, and like as well as that, I also kind of feel like I went a little darker on the album too.
Yeah,
so
totally.
I thought it was appropriate to call it Dusk.
Definitely.
Because like I'm leaning into this like darker, more mature side of me.
Yes, so. I feel that for sure. And like, you know, I was listening because I wanted to listen specifically back to back with 1999 and Dusk as well. 1993 and Dusk as well, and I sense that immediately for sure. Like when I was describing 1993, I was like, there's a brightness to it that seems a little different from the sonic like palette that is being used on Dusk too. So I feel you. That got across for sure.
Thank you. I'm glad you noticed. That's all I want, is for people to notice like the little
No, it totally is there. Talk to me more about this direction toward this and allowing the darkness to come through a little bit. Like, where's that coming from, and like what's inspiring you right now? Like, even, you know, music and outside of music. Like, I'd love to just hear like what's going on in your world.
Yeah, I feel like my tastes have really changed in the past couple years. I feel like my music back then was more made by someone who was starry-eyed, and I was just like, wow, everything is so beautiful. You know, as I grow older, I realize that no, not everything is beautiful.
Right? Yeah. You've seen some shit now. Like,
I've seen some shit. Yeah. Exactly. And like, I don't know, like I've, you know, after spending more time with like my friends and like understanding what kind of music they like, for example, Asim has leaned heavily into, you know, warehouse Asim vibes. Like,
warehouse Asim vibes. That sounds like something you say probably in your conversations.
Exactly. Yeah, and then like I found myself like more attracted to going to like the house stage of a festival and then just like vibing and like seeing how those people
I love
act
that.
out.
Catch me out there next time we're at the same festival too. We'll both be vibing for sure.
Exactly. And like it's not like it was like I intentionally leaned into like the darkness or whatever.
Right.
It's just like something that kind of pulled me in. And
Yeah.
my girlfriend, for example, like she wears all black. She's always worn all black, and I'm like, damn, that looks sick.
Right? It's funny, during our practice call, I said to you, I was like, bro, first of all, the looks right now that you are serving on Instagram are so smooth, so slick. Like, who is this man? Who is this international man of mystery out here? I love it. Yes, and girlfriend with DJ style. We love to see that. We love to
exactly.
Hear that.
So like I owe the aesthetic to her, like, and also it's just like it makes everything just easy to match, you know?
Yo, that's the truth.
And you just look good every time. Like I could wear the same outfit 5 days in a row, no one would notice, and it would look great.
It's true. Yeah, you got these couple of necklaces adding so much dimension to the look. Like just out here, it's easy peasy.
Yeah,
Makes
exactly.
it look easy. You make it look easy. You're doing great.
Thank you.
Myriad of Miriam was asking, what is the music that has stuck with you the most? Does it evoke an emotion or bring you back to a certain time?
Yeah, so I think like one musical artist that came straight to my head is Bon Iver.
Oh, feel that. Yeah.
Yeah, but a specific era of Bon Iver, it was before 22 A Million in the self-titled album For Emma Forever Ago. I think that music, no matter how old I am, how old I get, when I hear that music, I think it's always gonna it's gonna strike a chord, like an emotional chord.
Yeah.
There's just like, I don't know, something about it is just like so intimate, and like I hear him yearning for more, and like those are like parts of my music that I kind of want to represent too, is like intimacy and yearning, and just, you know, like something's like out of reach but so close, you know, like that type of feeling, tension, like all that, like Bon Iver, I think he does it masterfully. Like I really appreciate his newer music, but back then, like that was definitely like my shit for sure.
So good. Great drop too. I can sense that reference for sure.
Yeah.
Torden Strike wants to know what was playing Red Rocks like, and her friend Liam ended up in the recording of your crowd. That's so cool. Oh my God, you'll have to point out Liam later.
Yeah. Red Rocks was like a dream.
Fucking
like
A.
I still don't think I don't think that happened actually. Like,
but there's
like,
video evidence. You were there.
Video evidence, no, yeah. I mean, that show is like so special to me because like I was supposed to play it back in 2020. That was the original date of it.
Yeah.
Got pushed to 2021, and then did it happen this year? Yeah, it got pushed to this year.
Did it happen? Still questioning. Still wondering if it did happen.
No, yeah. No, it was actually incredible. I think what made it even more special though was that the whole lineup were just like friends. So
yeah.
Tsunami opened, and then I played, and then it was San Holo, and then Jai Wolf. Like I've been friends with Jai Wolf for over a decade now. Like I have a song with San Holo. Like it just like Brett's mom came too, which is like amazing. It was super amazing.
Your uncle came to one of your recent shows, and I honestly feel like his bootleg Manila Killa t-shirt like should be merged. Like what the fuck? The t-shirt is sick.
Like, story about that is that my dad made those shirts.
Yes.
He sent them over because he lives in the Philippines, right? So this is like some real bootleg merch, like made in Asia, like for real. Yeah, so he sent like a couple shirts over to the States. I guess my uncle had some, and when I saw him wear that, I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. I had to snap the pic real quick, like.
No, I'm so glad you shared that because that was so good. And like, that's so dope that your family is just like fucking ride or die in that way.
Yeah.
Like, that's so sick. And it's cool knowing now that your dad went to your first, like, you all went to the first like electronic music show together. So like, he gets it, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I will say though, it was really tough getting my family on board though.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
I had like there were a couple of years where like it was bad. Like it was like
I shouldn't laugh. I don't know. You laugh, so I laughed.
I mean,
I'm
we can laugh
I'm
about
like,
it now, like-
yeah.
No, like it's fine now. Like I had like I sat my mom down with Brett and like another manager homie to like really like get her to understand like what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
But like I don't think all of it clicked until they came to a show. And that's when they fully understood it.
Yeah.
And like with my mom, like, you know, she wears the pants in the mirror. I have to
say it.
yeah. So like it was really up to her. Like if I get her approval, everyone's cool with it, you know.
Dope,
like I didn't have to worry about
yeah.
so much, you know. So yeah, there was like one show that I did in DC with the Moving Castle guys actually.
Nice.
Brought her out for the very first time, and I think her mind changed when like some fans came up to her and they were telling her about, you know, like how much like my music means to them. And so after that show, that's when my mom was like, okay, like maybe this is like a thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh my God. That's so sweet. I've also experienced your fans talking about how much your music means to them. So that's really awesome. And that brings me back to, I really do want to hear how the tour has been so far. I know you still have dates to come. You're at a nice mid-breaking point, but like, dude, you did it. Like, you made your debut album. It's out there against all odds in this fucking crazy pandemic world, and you're able to share it now with your fans and experience it live with them. So how's that been? Tell me about the highlights.
Oh my God, it's been actually like amazing. Like really amazing. Like especially like touring now is really difficult.
Yeah, I was just talking about it with my friends today. Like Animal Collective and Santa Golds and all these acts have to just be like, we can't do this. Or, you know, tickets are I know it's not y'all's fault that the ticket prices can be crazy because you got to pay for yourself and your crew and all this stuff that's going on. And I don't know. Anyway, I'm not the one who should be talking about it. I should be letting you talk about it.
No, you're absolutely right, though. I think, like, I don't know. It's really hard to come off of 2019. Shows are packed. Everyone's going everywhere. You know, it's crazy. And then, like, for artists to be canceling shows, and you know, I won't lie, like some of my shows haven't been like the best attendance than they have been before. Like I was selling some cities out, and then I'm having to like change venues, you know, to a smaller spot, and like it really like is a blow to my ego. I'm not gonna lie about that, but I think one thing that I keep telling myself over and over is focus on the people who do come. Oh yeah, Taurus had to cancel his tour too. So focusing on the people who are actually there, I think is what actually matters. And I'm so grateful to have some like ride or die fans. Like I played a show in Bellingham and like half of the crowd had driven from Seattle to see me. So just the fact that, you know, people are taking time out of their day to drive up to see me is just like incredible. And this past weekend was probably some of the best shows I've ever played in my life.
Yeah.
Like solely because like my family came, and like it wasn't just like my immediate family that usually comes, but like the squad came out, like aunts and uncles who had never seen me play before.
That's
like
so rad.
And so like that means so much to me, and like I really appreciate them for that. But yeah, like I aside from like trying to not think of the negatives, like I think it's just like touring is the reason why I make music, is because like I want to share the energy with everybody. Like I just want people to hear music that I like, and I just hope that they like it too. And I'm really confident that like the show I've put together for this tour is like the best show I've ever put together.
Yeah.
And, like most of it is my own music, which is like I'm really happy about. I'm proud of that too.
Yeah. You're ready for that.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, no, I'm like stoked. I'm excited for like the rest of the tour, and I'm just like, I was so nervous before the tour started. I was like, what if no one comes? You know? Yeah, I was like really feeling down about it, but like I'm like re-energized right now. I'm feeling good and inspired.
That's all. That was my next question, because now you're out and you're back and you're playing and you're getting that reciprocal energy that is so much a part of the inspiration process. Are you inspired? Are you actively starting to create? I know y'all producers are never not creating a little bit, but like what's happening in your creative corner in this studio where you're taking the call
Yeah.
from today?
Yeah, so it's funny because like after making the album, I feel like I've exhausted making that type of specific sound right now. Like
Fair.
I keep trying to make stuff that sounded like the album, but I was like, maybe it's time to switch hats.
Yeah.
So I've been making techno. I've been making like drum and bass, just some like real like hard techno that you like would not expect me to like make.
It's
And,
the all
like,
black outfit now. Now you
yeah,
gotta
exactly. Yeah, it came in handy. It's perfect. But like, yeah, like my goal with that stuff is to like make music that sounds European. Like that doesn't sound like it came from America. And
Yo,
that's,
that sounds great.
yeah. And I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm making that techno with a seam. Like we're working on stuff together.
That's so
But,
exciting.
like, yeah, but like we don't know what we're gonna do with it yet. But like we've made a bunch of demos. I'm like going over to his house later to like work on stuff. So yeah, I think it's time for us to get back together because not officially.
Right, yeah,
back together
yeah,
as a
right,
project,
yeah.
but at least it's just to like make music together because like I feel like it's been so long since we've had that connection. So
Totally. Well, it's funny when earlier on in the conversation when we were talking about like your decision to, focus on yourselves and there were things you wanted to jump on. Like in my mind, I'm like, yo, that like Hotel Garuda Manila Killa tour is gonna come eventually. Like it's not like y'all aren't gonna be like hitting stages together and doing all this shit. So
Yeah.
very exciting to hear that it might be coming sooner than anyone expected. And Bunker Garuda is maybe a good name for the hard techno collabs.
Funk Guru, I love it.
Damn,
Basement
that's
Guru is
sick.
great, too.
That's sick. I love it. Well, we're coming up on our hour here. I think actually we have hit the hour here. So I want to say thank you so much for joining me and for rocking with me through the technical difficulties at the beginning. I'm so excited to catch you on stage as soon as I am able to. I'm back in Florida. Next time you're in Florida, you absolutely have to holler and let me know what's going on. But is there anything else that you want to say out into the world, even though it sounds like you just gave us the best little snippet ever, but any wise words or any like special messages that you want to share?
Yeah, keep on keeping on.
Yo, real talk.
Like the world right now is like really fucked.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's having an amazing time, but I think it's important for people to know that like other people are going through the same shit they are, and like tomorrow's a new day. Just keep going and just keep pushing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Carlo, for the great compliment. Your brother is a great subject to have on the show. I guess, I kind of lied. I have one more thing to ask you. On the way out, I did decide to grab the video for Dark Places. And it's almost in theme with a lot of what we've been talking about, darkness and the world being a dark place and all these things. Yeah. But is there anything you want to say about that particular track and this video?
Yeah, so I think like what I loved about the song was that the song is about like recognizing that you can get stuck in these dark places, and not literal dark places, but like in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but like there's a possibility, and you do have the ability to pull yourself out of it. And I think when I heard the initial demo by Fknsyd, I was like, I resonate with that so hard because it was over the pandemic.
Yeah.
And like that song was just so easy to make because of that. Because like I really understood what he was going for. So it was just really easy for me to produce and rework it in a way that I felt was like kind of mine at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So yeah, the music video was cool though. Like it was like a small budget. We had some good laughs doing it. Like Fknsyd was actually the one who directed and did the whole thing.
Oh
the whole
shit! Shout out Fknsyd.
Yeah, so I can't claim too much ownership over the creativity behind the video, but he crushed it.
That's awesome. That's so sick. And I know we did. We could just keep talking, but like,
yeah, that's fine,
it's amazing that you made this whole visualizer too. Like, what was that experience like? Like, so cool to add that element to something like your debut album.
Yeah, so that was sick because we went to Joshua Tree to shoot all
Gotta
the footage.
get back to where it
Gotta
all
get back
began.
to where it started. Exactly. And so yeah, we spent like 2 days with some of my friends who
fun.
do like film stuff, and we just shot a bunch of stuff. And I like to edit my own videos, so I actually did all the editing for that too.
I
And
appreciate that. I like to edit my videos too.
yeah. It's another skill that I picked up over the pandemic.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
But
Same.
yeah, like yeah, exactly.
We were all stuck inside. We might as well like
exactly,
create
just
fantasy
on the
worlds.
computer. Yeah, so like I really made sure that like every song would make sense with the visuals that I picked. So like, you know, for example, like Dark Places or Liminal Spaces, which is like one of my other favorite songs. Like,
Yeah,
I had
that
to make
one's
sure
that one's so good. Yeah, stand out for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, I just had to make sure that like whatever I was picking for the visuals, whatever I was editing, made sure that it like really resonated with the song.
Oh, I love the calligraphy for this album too.
Oh, thank
like,
you. I can go into that as well.
Let's do it. Yo, hit me. Like, tell me the story.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone is out there looking at, you know, the singles that I dropped and like the album itself, there are 4 symbols on there.
Yeah.
And those 4 symbols are actually from a very outdated old Filipino writing system called Baybayin.
Cool.
And the first 2 symbols represents like dawn or like morning time, and the last 2 represents like darkness or like, you know, going into the night. So put them together, it's dusk, and that's that.
That's so cool. Did you like have a hand in designing it? The gold, I don't know. It just looks fucking suave. I like it. It's a good touch.
So I hit up my friend who is a creative director out of Vancouver. He's also Filipino. I actually was scrolling through his like Instagram one day, and I saw that he actually did some Baybayin like animations and stuff. So I was like, yo, can you like do this for me? And I was also like, how confident are you in like translating to?
Right, yeah, I know,
like,
right? Like, it's always the
right?
fear is that you're like, wait, it actually means some weird
exactly.
shit.
But he was like, no, I got you, man, I got you. So then I was like, okay, sick. And then I did give him the idea of like the gold, you know, type thing, because I knew with Dusk, I wanted the branding to be very, very consistent and cohesive. So like oranges, reds, golds, you know, like darker reds and blacks is like kind of my thing now. So had to go for that.
I love it. And now the next track, we're gonna go from dusk into full peak night warehouse fucking bump it, like go hard.
It's just gonna get darker and darker.
And then one day you'll have a dawn again. No.
Yes, one day eventually.
But not now.
Not now, yeah.
Man, awesome. Well, okay. Thank you so very much. I can't wait to run into you out in the world again. And I'd love to play more Mario Kart with you out there in the world. But mostly, I just can't wait to see you do your thing. And I hope that the rest of your tour is as magical as everything that has happened so far. And congratulations on this project. You're doing great.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay.